Hey, everybody. Today we're going to do a quick player engage segment. I'm excited to talk to Kieran Donovan, the visionary founder behind KID. You may have heard about Kieran a lot recently on podcasts or everywhere because they recently got a great Series A funding as well as a spot on the Deconstructors of Fun podcast. So first off, they got a $45 million Series A funding from Andreessen Horowitz, A16Z, and Lightspeed Venture Partners. So, Kieran, I'm super excited to talk about this stuff with you. Congratulations, first of all. Any words you want to say before we kick off this quick interview here?
No, that's amazing. Thank you so much. Yeah, definitely humbled with everything that's been happening. Super excited with what we can do now in terms of the meaningful impact that we can have.
Yeah, I am a parent, you're a parent, and the idea of KID is something that is both kind of visionary in a way, and also like it kind of is like, why hasn't this been done before? But for a high level, you want to kind of give an idea to our audiences. What is KID?
Yeah, ultimately, what KID is the future for kids online. When a kid goes online today, there's a lot of space on the internet where they're not meant to be, not because there's inappropriate content, but more so because of the legal risk and the complexity attached to just having kids on your platform, right? I mean, how many times have we come across that pop up? I confirm I'm over 13. And it's not, sometimes it's kids licensed content that sits behind that, and it's crazy that just because of the legal risks and the complexity attached to managing kids within a platform, so many online spaces are just nervous about even acknowledging that kids are there. And what KID is about bringing kids into that space in a safe way and unlocking for that platform a safe space and a safe way for that kid to build a community online in the right way.
And I think that's amazing. Again, as a father now, right? I have kids that I want to be playing these video games. And we were all 13, 14, 15-year olds at a point signing onto the internet saying, oh, I'm older than 13, yes or no, right? Like, who's not going to hit yes, right? And this seems like a common sense way to kind of start imposing these. I'm saying imposing, right? But kind of verifying what this is and my age is. And something that we said that you talked to me about last week before jumping on is how complex this is, especially in the United States, because every state is different and it's asinine, for lack of better words. And like, I know this probably isn't a high level question, but can you kind of explain what some of those difficulties are for someone that's listening that may not understand?
Yeah, I mean, the most basic and fundamental one, and I have a graphic that we created to illustrate this because it really is that complex. It's just the basic question: what is a kid? If you were to go to Korea or Japan or Australia or the US or a country within Europe, you will get a different answer because what's called the age of digital consent, which is stipulated in a lot of law, sometimes guidance, it's just different. I mean, it's different for all sorts of reasons, but even that very basic question, if you were to say, no, I want to do the right thing. I want to build out a family platform as part of my online space. And I want to ensure that, kids connect with kids. Kids are building community with other kids that are around their age. That basic question, what is a kid? It just differs by country, and it differs in wild ways. I can tell you that, there's one country in the world where it's 7, and there's another country in the world where it's 21. But you shouldn't have a 6-year-old chatting to a 20-year-old. But that's, if you were to just take that basic fundamental, that's how complex it is. And so we dive down that rabbit hole.
I love it. And one of the things I heard when I was listening to the podcast today was that in 2022, there was about $200 million in fines from violating age appropriate gaming experiences. And after that, starting in 2023, there's been more than $2 billion in fines for people who are not implementing these types of practices in their game. And that's a mind boggling number. Obviously, there's a problem there, which I think most people overlook. And you identified this problem. So, first of all, again, congratulations to you. It's amazing. So, what I really want to ask you about is funding, because we always talk about funding on our shows. If we looked earlier this year, you were part of a startup in stealth mode, right? And now all of a sudden, 9 to 12 months later, you're getting $45 million in Series A funding. So I guess, can you talk about some of the key moments of this process? How does it begin? Like, how do you even look at this?
Yeah, I think the first one was making sure that we had really concretely defined what the problem was and what the solution was going to be and what the pathway for that solution looked like. So 2 years ago, when Tim and I were first looking at this, we were thinking about, what are we actually going to solve? What's the impact we're going to have? Let's start with that. and walk that back. Once we had ideated on precisely what that would be, what the steps would be. I mean, it sounds like a very lawyerly approach to a startup to go through it in such granular detail, but really, what would each layer enable us to do? Once we had set up the infrastructure that would deliver all this compliance information into a system, what does that unlock? And the more we thought about it, the more things you can see cascading, and all of a sudden you're thinking, wait a minute, this allows single sign-on for kids. This enables more and more and more. And so I think really defining that roadmap, but having the flexibility to, and not putting the pressure on ourselves to say like, this is exactly what we're going to execute on, but knowing where the North Star could lead, I think was the second thing. The third thing was team. Recognizing that there were things that I needed smarter people than me to fill a void on. I'm not a trust and safety expert. There are some fantastic people out there who have done amazing things in trust and safety. I haven't run the business of a game studio before. And so finding a co-founder who could fill that void, I'm a lawyer. I'm not an engineer. And so finding someone again who could build a family account system that could scale across billions of users. And so filling those spaces before we even attempted a conversation with, meaningful conversations with VCs, I think was really important, because then we walked into that room, right? And we had a clear problem, we had a clear solution, what the roadmap would look like, and also the team that could execute on that. And so I think because we were so thoughtful, it allowed us to hit the ground quite quickly.
So the thing that you mentioned there, which I wanted to write down, was you define the roadmap, which makes a lot of sense. That's for your Series A. When looking back at your pre-seed and seed, and again, this is stuff I got from the podcast listening to this morning, right? When you're at this stage, you have a product that you're showing off, and you're scaling for growth. Whereas in pre-seed, you have more of a team and idea. When you look at the difficulties of raising each round, is one easier than the other for you? Like, did you know this, being a lawyer, did you know this process coming in? Is it like, all right, we're going for Series A, has to be more serious this time? Or is it always the same stressor? And I don't know if this question even makes sense.
Yeah, look, it is. The fundamentals are always the same, which is there a business here that justifies the valuation and the type of money that you're going to raise at a particular round? And so the numbers get bigger, but the fundamentals stay the same. And so I think for us, we have always gone in as a very mission-driven company from the very, very first discussion. None of that has changed. And so we always push ourselves on every product decision, every partnership decision, client decision. Are we enhancing the mission that we're on to build the better internet for kids, the more empowering internet for kids? And so I think because we've had that North Star, it's enabled us to always let the noise fade into the background around the specifics that might be sitting there around. What does the ARPU of this look like? Or what is what are the multiples on this? Or how does this stack up? Or, I think it's good to be cognizant of that. But again, I think we've been fortunate in the sense that there's a moment in time right now where everybody wants to fix this. Everybody knows it's broken, even for dads like us, where, we live through the internet, right? We live through online games. We've been through that. And I don't know about you, but for me, even I don't understand the internet that my 8-year-old and my 3-year-old are coming into. And so I think keeping that as the North Star has meant that even with all these VC discussions, you always go in very humble, and you always go in very confident that the mission you're on is one where you could, if you execute right, make a real difference. And that's what matters.
Like, if the mission's the mission, stay the course and don't waver. Just remember that's your North Star. And it's funny because last week in the States here, I'm from Jersey. There was in the news, some guy flew from Jersey to Florida to try and attack someone with a hammer because they lost the game. And like, you hear about all these crazy things happening on how nuts people are over these video games. And yeah, like, this is the time to be pushing trust and safety and tools to protect these people, because we've been kind of floundering for years on clicking that yes, I'm over 17 or 18-year-old button, and it doesn't work. So at this stage, right, you got your funding, and I don't know how deep you want to go, but do you have an idea where you want to put this money, how you plan on scaling?
Yeah, I mean, we want to have a big impact. We want to, we're really ambitious. We want to make sure that we can deliver the compliance that we want to deliver and democratize access to what we think are some really exciting, cool tools. And I speak as much as a founder of the company as a dad, right? I want my 8 year old when he's going online to have the same experience, whether it's a single indie dev who's launched a game or whether it's a big AAA game. And so, just speaking as a dad, I want to make sure that the model we have means that he can have that same experience in that same empowered experiences in all those different places. And so part of what this enables us to do is bring forward a lot of what we had on the roadmap. So, self-serve tooling and the ability to integrate versions of the tool that means that this can be instantly accessible by an indie dev. It can go straight in, and you can get access to exactly the same thing. I mean, that's the kind of exciting thing where I've seen some stuff over the past week where some of our indie games have been integrating things, and I'm looking at it thinking, I mean, this is amazing as a parent, right? I'm getting excited.
Awesome. I have one last question for you, and I'll let you off the hook here. It's a two-part question. You are a gamer. Again, I keep referencing the podcast that the deconstructors are fun, but you had GoldenEye on the screen streaming behind you. You had the Quest 3, you had an Xbox Series X, you had a PS5. What game are you playing now? And what was your first ever online game?
I have just gone through GoldenEye Remastered again, which was such a hoot. So that's kind of why it was featured on the background because I've been playing a lot of it. I have played quite a bit of Power World over the last few months as well, and I've actually enjoyed playing that with my son. So that's been a good bit of fun. My first online game. I mean, I'm tempted to say that it was it was probably Halo 2. I think Xbox Live Halo 2, just as that really kicked off and everything that went wild, that was definitely my first online experience, and that was I still remember the very first time trying a headset, and just how quickly that whole online world of online voice chat suddenly took a new life within weeks of the launch of Halo 2. So yeah.
Did you mask your voice? Did you have like one of those baby voices or some of those annoying things that were going on?
I do remember that. I remember so many things happening at that point. People, it was just such a novelty.
It was
Um,
amazing.
yeah, yeah. It was a unique moment in time.
Cool. Well, Kieran, I'm not going to keep you any longer. I appreciate you coming on and having this conversation. First of all, congratulations. This is great news for you. Great news for kids and gamers anywhere because it's going to protect us going forward. Everyone could check out KID. It's k-id.com. I'll have a link to it. And we're going to do a fuller podcast with Kieran and teams at Modulate